Hold on. I gotta do a couple of things. Oh my god. Let me just delete that one really quick. I don't want that one on there. Okay. Yeah, I got banned off TikTok today, so that was depressing. So I'm going to read Higurashi instead. So, yeah. So let's get to doing that. I might as well vent through me reading Higurashi. That's all. That's what I'm gonna do. We can play and do a couple of other things later, you know? So right now, let's just reduce some of the sound. We don't want this too loud. And let's continue. Is that the last time I played? I don't remember. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Let's mute that actually. Generally there are no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't here, I had no choice. I squirmed off the bed and went downstairs. Hello, this is the My Bar residence. Keiichi, this is Mom. I intuitively have a bad feeling about this. It was because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things, so I took the initiative. What? I don't mind having instant noodles for dinner. There's still a lot of them. The other day we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds actually, but they refused since the individual packs were expensive. So instead I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork bone and ginger flavored ones I liked. But my parents don't like strong flavors and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them. So you see, there isn't really a need to go shopping, right? Keiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Both Mommy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now? This is really abrupt. No, we're already here. We left this afternoon. It's quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Gunning it full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would have taken longer. I'm thinking you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going so smoothly. Now that she mentioned it, I did remember that they talked all the time about his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy's really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as they are, it'll affect his work. Part of my father's particular fragile artistic personality, his emotions change as easily as the fall sky. You could also just say he couldn't take criticism. But something like that can be done over the phone. Keiichi, this is your father's job, so can you support him a bit, please? Anyway, it's just faster to talk about it in person, so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. As their son, there was nothing more I could say once they started talking about work. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Keiichi, will you be fine on your own? It's not like I'll die or anything. Well, Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. If there's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mommy will be able to help you out. Yesterday I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them. But I didn't plan on dying. At least not while I knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. I'll survive even if I have to gnaw my leg off. Yeah, see you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure to wake up and eat your breakfast. And don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah, see you. The call ended like that. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings. But Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance, but it never happened this suddenly. I couldn't say that those circumstances didn't feel strange, or rather, unnatural. Anyway, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone, missing, vanished. Looking back on the series of events of the 5 years involving Oyashiro's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, It was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good that the only light in the whole house was from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone and this was their chance. First I ran to the living room, flicked on the lights, and turned the TV on to a reassuring volume. Next was the study. I similarly turned on the lights and some music. With this, from the outside, it would look like my parents were there. Once again, I went through the house, checking to see if there's anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and the laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. I would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched down the laundry haphazardly and erased all traces that my mother wasn't there. It should be fine now. The garage! They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone up to the Okinomiya station. The garage was empty, wide open, and in plain sight. This was not good. I panicked and rushed out to the back and closed the normally open garage door. It should be fine now. I needed to get the paper. Mom always got the paper since they left in the afternoon. The evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. With this for sure this time, it should be fine. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that for my little freakout was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell and the bat I was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in its current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a bit before Mom got back and scolded me. I remember there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. I was just going to get them. The phone rang once again. Hello, this is the Mybar residence. Oh, this is Keiichi, huh? Is your mother around? She isn't here at the moment. You idiot, Mybar Keiichi. Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You can follow up still. Calm down and take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. This wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again or to tell her to call them when she comes back. That's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well then, sorry for the bother. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'll have to deal with more telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with the phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I needed to make up a good story to explain that my parents were home but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making temper. I couldn't step away right now. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? I was thinking about on the way back to my room when the phone rang once again. It was like they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick up, but I knew I had to. They suspect my parents weren't here. I should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pretense that I didn't realize it was. But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver. Hello? I stopped announcing this was the Mybar residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Hello, my apologies for calling so late. This is Oishi from the Okinomiya bookstore. Oishi? Is that you, Maibara? Good evening. Good to hear that you're doing well. Wait just a moment, please. I grabbed the portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was since there was no one else home, but I wanted to be in a spot that felt just a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Oishi. Sorry for the wait. How are things? Anything changed since then? Since then? When was that exactly? There was something about the brazen way that he talked that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with Oishi was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school, I met Oishi on the way back from the hospital, and we headed down to town for lunch and had a talk. And then after that, Rena and Mion came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with Oishi, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may be well found out by them as well. Hello? Can you hear me, my bra? Huh? Sorry. What did you say? I asked if anything's changed since last time. There wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried. Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that happened. All of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I may never have another chance. This night, when my parents weren't home, I had no guarantees I would make it through the night safely after all. Well, Oishi, it seems that someone's after me. Really? It could just all be a coincidence, but that day I missed school when I was sick, the two of them came up to check on me. Which two? Rena and Mion. They started asking about how I had lunch with you. What next? They left me some mochi when they came to visit. There was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wonder, could that just have been a threat? About the needle. It was just one of those common sewing needles you see all the time. There's a hole to string the thread through. Not that, Maibar. The needle itself. That's evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is that needle? That's it! That's right! I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. I tossed the mochi. I'd overlooked it out of terror, but that needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I had certainly thrown the mochi and needle at the wall together. If it was there, then it'd be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall. There was not a trace of mochi left on it. Could it be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I frantically searched by running my palm along the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desk, pulling up the carpet and flapping it around, but I couldn't find the needle. Did my mom clean up everything without noticing? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen, opened up the lid of the pail, and poured out the contents. But even at a glance, I could tell it would be incredibly difficult to find the needle in this pile of trash. I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I know. I'll try running my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'd be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash with my hand. Filth flew about. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi waiting for too long. Later, when Mom got back, I'd have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad affixed to the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. Then I dashed back up the stairs where I'd been keeping Oishi waiting for far too long. Hello, how'd it go? I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed back then and... I see. It would be great if you could find it. Keep it safe. That's right. The needle wasn't the only incident I had to tell him about this morning with the hit and run. Also, Oishi, that isn't all. Actually, this morning, that man was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without question due to the circumstances at the time. Did you see the license plate? I can search for it from there. Damn! I just flipped out yelling at him back then, but I didn't look at the plate. What failures on my part with the needle on the plate number. I was so focused just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip out of my grasp. I punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was. I'm sorry. I don't know much more than it was a white van. Nothing to fret about, Myra. Anyone would be shaken up after being hit. I guess all of this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Oishi started to hem and haw over at the other end. I can imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rena's acting strange. How so? But Rena said on the way home today, asking why I was so much like Satoshi. Now I could say it with confidence, that Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew there was more to it than him just simply disappearing. Rena knows. She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year. What would that be exactly? Rena said I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the ways things are, I'm going to end up with the same fate as Satoshi. Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you? Transferring out, she said. Transferring out? Rena said Satoshi transferred out. So given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too. Oishi let out a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly. Maibara, That was probably some sort of threat, or maybe some type of warning. I thought so too. At that point, I started to think, would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oishiro's curse actually existing as the only other explanation. Of course, I couldn't tell that to Oishi, except Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oishiro's curse being real or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all the villagers, Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with the prior string of mysterious deaths. I seem to recall that Oishi had admitted that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying when he said a little, meaning he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what happened at her previous school, among other things that were still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should suspect, no, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I felt I had just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house was some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use brute force, they could easily gain entry. There are no other residences close to the Maibar residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud it was. I never felt as much resentment toward my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I did right now. I wondered if I would still be here by tomorrow morning, so I had to ask, right now, because I had no idea when the next chance would come. Oishi, I have something I wanted to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me. Sure, ask away. Even though he's so far from the other end of the line, this was the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena, about what happened at her previous school. Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first, but I finally realized it was the doorbell. The time was 7 o'clock. It was past the time the postman should be making a delivery and past any sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I put in making it look like my parents were home. I needed to answer the door. Hello, Mybara? Sorry, it seems someone seems to be at the door. I'm gonna go see how it is. I guess. I see. My apologies. Should we end this call now? That would be a problem. No, I'll be back in a second. Do you mind if I just leave the phone on? It's fine, I don't mind. I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed down to the door. I needed to make up a good excuse to get them to leave. I had a hunch it was the lady who called right before Oishi did. In which case, it would be one of the neighbors who was friends with my mom. I'll just say my mom wasn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. It would be hard for her to ask me to wake up my mom if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at regular intervals. If someone didn't answer after you rang the bell so much, you'd normally give them a go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mom's friends. Good evening. Rena. There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy, because it was just as I was about to ask Oishi about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to mere coincidence, but those unsettling words from Mion several days ago echoed back to me. There's nothing this old man doesn't know. Are you alone, Rena? Yeah. It seems that Mion wasn't with her, but that didn't change the situation at all. Why'd you come here? Hey, Keiichi, I'd like you to open the door so we can talk. Can I come inside, I wonder? It was true that speaking through a chained door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate, but At my house, the chain has to be on at night. Don't worry about it.
Then it can't be helped, I guess.
Rena pouted rather sadly, but she kept smiling at least. Her effort to keep that smile up was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain, was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain and having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on trying to get into the entranceway.
Have you eaten yet, Keiichi?
No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't there, the dinner should be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home and was woken up by the phone and didn't have a chance to eat since I used up all that time talking. I was going to have cup noodles in any case. I could just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. What about it?
Then good! Look here! I bought a bunch of dishes.
Rena held out a stack of boxes wrapped in a box.
If I could use your kitchen, I can heat up the miso soup and other stuff.
It's fine. You don't need to do that.
But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Does Keiichi not like that type of stuff? I wonder?
There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with a lot of ingredients. White radish, carrots, burdock roots, and potatoes, dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks incredible.
I also brought rice, so if you microwave it, you can eat it really quickly.
Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet and sipping miso soup in between the ravenous bites? Oh yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese. I'm Chinese, but I should try miso soup and rice. I like putting a little bit of rice in my soup sometimes.
Also, I made some more pickles. I made sansai pickles this time.
Before I moved to Hinamiza, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sansai, but I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. The vegetables from the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If you had to describe them, then they were the vegetables for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first had to partake of sansai. It was a common knowledge around here that the Ryugu family's traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were, they'd go so well with that white fluffy rice.
And also, but wait, there's more! So delicious. It just seems so delicious.
Farewell to my unhealthy self who said he'd make do with cup noodles. Rena appeared to be in good spirits, and she was offering such a delicious-sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut, and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone, so it shouldn't be a problem letting her inside, though the possibility it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I couldn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then, but the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Rena speaking of this charming dinner was dependent on one premise, and that premise was tonight dinner hadn't been made at my house, meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't here. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time was inherently strange. Unless she knew. Rena, did she know my parents weren't home? But there was also the chance that this was a bluff. I had turned on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were there. But there's a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home. But I had to wonder. Oh, shit. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There were plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine if my parents were here or not, but there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding on to that fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner will be ready pretty soon.
Huh? Is that so? Is that so?
I know you went through all the effort and everything, but, well, unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly. But some of this will work as side dishes, I think. I'm sorry. We have more than enough already. My mom always makes quite a few sides, so...
Huh? You have side dishes?
With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her questions apologetically, but the feeling I tried to ignore began creeping up my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact, and that I was aware of it as well.
So Keiichi can cook? What did you make, I wonder?
No, well, it's not that Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I made them, but rather my mom hadn't.
Did you really make them? The side dishes? Did you, Keiichi?
It wasn't me who made them. My mom did. No, she's making them right now. So you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat what you brought. Rena fell silent at that moment. At the moment, I felt the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes.
How about I try guessing what Keiichi's dinner will be?
It doesn't matter what I'm going to eat.
Let's see.
The conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated.
Your dinner. I wonder, is it something that can be made with just hot water?
Hey now, stop with the insults. I can't believe you believe my mom's extravagant dinner like that. Tickets sold out, full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grit my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical, but Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness.
Keiichi, did your mother really leave you dinner?
No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. It's almost time for dinner. Rena had taken that assertion of mine, that my mother was home and making dinner right now, and was completely ignoring it. I could tell the more I panicked, the colder Rena became.
Hey, Keiichi.
At that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept up in the gap of the doorway.
Is your mom home? I wonder? I
couldn't keep up this charade anymore. Rena, she knew full well that my parents weren't home, but I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here and be having dinner soon. That was the situation I had concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She's here, of course. I could feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming more frigid, piercing me with their gelid glare.
Why?
Huh? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but that facade was torn off me the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. That look, it informed me of Rena's response faster than she could open her mouth.
Why have you been lying to me, I wonder?
I'm not lying.
That's a lie, isn't it?
It's not a lie. Lies! Rena's outburst sent a jolt surging through my body. Rena and I were still separated by what few inches that were slightly ajar, but still chain door could afford. But despite that, I was being cornered. My house, which I considered a safe haven up until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me.
Shall I guess your dinner, Keiichi? Let's see.
I knew now that Rena had already known my parents would not be here tonight, but it was still so strange that it had come to this. Even if she somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there's no way she'd be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? How could she know it was instant?
Cup noodles. That's right, isn't it?
I was going to eat. Wait, The cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing.
I don't think you'd be full with just noodles. I think just having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot.
Calm down, Keiichi Mayabara. This is just a coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tells of mine. So the fact that she was inferring what I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was actually reading my mind. If it was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that. They couldn't possibly exist.
Do you like them?
Do you mean noodles?
No.
Rena indicated that the pointing my answer addressing was wrong. Her rebuttal was so short, I momentarily didn't understand the words Rena had spoken. Sorry, Rena. What did you just say just now?
Huh? About what?
Just now, you asked me if there was something that I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer. That was why I wasn't able to comprehend it.
Pork bone and ginger flavor.
I wondered how I appeared in the moment. My mind went completely blank until the moment I was able to recover, as my field of vision began to distort, slowly swirling in the counterclockwise direction. I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena know even this? Not even caring that I mashed my head against the door, I fixated my gaze on Rena, but she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly did buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case. How could you know that?
Why, I wonder? Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it?
How could you dodge the question at a time like this? The chain of the doors were suddenly no longer protecting me. How do you know? Why do you know? Answer me!
You bought them at 7th Mart, didn't you?
A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering it up with an angry facade. Like I said, why do you know that?
I was behind you, following you the whole time.
What are you saying? I couldn't understand why she was saying she'd been following me all this time.
That's because Rena was right behind Keiichi's back the whole time.
Like that night? That night I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Oishi. I didn't even sense her being there, standing behind the door behind me, standing there just like that.
When Keiichi was picking out the noodles, I was watching the entire time. You picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? Then your mom got angry. If you were going to pick the expensive ones, then you should just pick one type, she said. Then Keiichi picked out that big box of pork bone and ginger flavor that he loves so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. But I can never eat a whole big bowl myself.
My brain was paralyzed, dulling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With the fear being diminished, the fog enveloping my mind was cleared away, and I could understand what Rena was saying and started to put meaning behind her words. But even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes so closed I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. I slowly took a step backwards, and as I withdrew, Rena advanced.
So, Keiichi, can you open this? We can eat dinner together. I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so... Okay?
Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door one at a time, as if they had a mind of their own, rattling the chain. If she had unlatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me. But Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to light the fuse to the powder keg in my heart, trying again and again. But it doesn't light. It doesn't light.
Open up, Keiichi.
Please go away. I beg you. Please go away.
How could you say something so mean, I wonder?
Please go away. Go away! Go away! The powder keg inside of me finally went off. No smoldering, it just exploded. I tackled the door. The force through the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed onto the doorknob with both hands, planted my feet firmly, and pulled it with all my might. But that slamming sound I so desired didn't happen. I could feel a tiny, disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing, and the source of that was Rena's fingers. Each of those fingers wriggling, squirming around like tendrils of a carnivorous plant through the crack of the doorway.
It hurts. It hurts, Keiichi. It hurts.
It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp she was trying to keep back. Go away! Go away! Go away! I kept on pulling the door with all my might. I didn't even realize if I didn't loosen my pull on the door at least momentarily, Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out, and that was why the door wasn't closing.
It really hurts, Keiichi. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much.
I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change any of what she had done up until now. It didn't change anything.
It hurts. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go away! Go away! Go away! Rena couldn't leave even if she wanted to because I'd trapped her fingers. Rena's white fingers had become deep red and were no longer even squirming.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go away! Go away! Go away! I'm not reading that over and over again, okay? Rena's apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, but like a broken record, she was intent on repeating it over and over. I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from her imprisonment in the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly, and I could hear the thud of Rena falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. It made a loud clunk, voicing my rejection to Rena. Uh-oh. Rena leaned against the door, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming that I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology. Those pitiful words. They would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't even feel about this at all, but that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I just felt a sort of hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape from Rena. Before Mion had threatened me at this doorway, saying that there was nothing she didn't know. Just now at the same place, Rena had told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact that my parents were at home had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. My meager plans had not helped at all. He and Mizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Rena as possible. 1 step, 2 steps. With each one of her sniveling apologies became more distant. I sprinted up the stairs and dove into my room. As you would expect, I was finally able to no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Diving into my bed, I was startled by the hard lump I felt. There was something in my bed? It was the receiver. I finally remembered. I was in the middle of a call with Oishi. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed since I went downstairs. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I talked with Rena for so long. How did almost no time pass? But the hand of the clock was ticking forward 1 second every second as usual. As if I was still put the warm receiver to my ear, time which felt frozen, began moving again. Hello? Oishi? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time that had passed between myself and Oishi was different. Over the phone I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. It drove home just how far away Oishi really was. Rena came just now. Is she going to play? I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Oishi. But I didn't need to right now. Right now, I needed to know about Rena. That's right. I was planning to ask Oishi more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true and what was false, I couldn't tell. The one thing that I knew, that single grim reality, that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure something out if I asked Oishi about her. Up until now, I had regretted whenever I forced myself to ask about things that I'm better off not knowing. But looking at it that way, you could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I couldn't feel any more regret than I did just now. No. Rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this that I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't about the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not going to die like this. I was not without knowing anything. I definitely won't. Regarding Rena Rugu, I did a bit of digging. Yeah, well, it wasn't much. I understood that Oishi was talking in circles. A bit meant I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend. I wanted to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be interested in what I have to say, though. Oishi. I spoke as calmly as possible to Oishi, who has continued to avoid the issue. And then I said it. I think Rugu Rena is suspicious. Even the past incidents were from Oishiro's curse. Rena is still involved. Do you still have some sort of proof that makes you believe Rena is suspicious? The manner in which Oishi spoke became very firm. Do you have some sort of proof? That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. I see. I could tell even over the phone how disappointed Oishi was. Pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite only to reel in the bait, disappointed but ready to cast the line once more. That's how it seemed. Oishi, you can't do anything without physical proof, can you? Okay, cool. What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck that barb in there. As Oishi loved the roundabout ways of saying things, he understood me just fine. It's fine, Maibara. I'll protect you. That was not the least bit reassuring. Oishi was just using me to cover his investigation. I was going to just get killed and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That's all I was to him. Whether I'm alive or dead may be no concern to your investigation, but it's all over for me when I die. Oishi went silent on the other end of the line. That may have been too blunt, but I didn't care. I needed to relay to Oishi was that I was currently in a dangerous position. So please tell me. Tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out. Not too far in the future. I'll probably also do a Rena called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Alright, Myra, please calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Oishi having to tell me. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust in the police. It was seen that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect myself. Then I at least wanted to know about what happened before Rena transferred schools. Okay, can I stop here? I'm a little tired at the moment. Oops! Why did I do that? Shit. Give me a moment. I'm gonna have to skip through now. I messed up, guys. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to press quick save. My bad. Wow, I can really just sit back and skip all of this? Cause like I already read it. Oh good, the game remembered that I had already read it. Yeah, I already went through that part. I was talking with Oishi in the thing. Ah! Stop! How do I stop it? I'm over skipping. Okay, we're gonna stop right there. That's where we're stopping. That's where we were. Sorry, I messed up. Alright, we'll read that part later. We're done. We're done tonight. We're done. We are done tonight. With the reading, I mean. I'm gonna play Stardew now. Just give me a moment. I'm gonna close this. Alright. Hold on, I have to remember how to close a thing. And then I'll be right back, because I'll be doing Stardew Valley.